Hi, I'm Bailey. This is for Module 8 assignment for Sociology. I'm going to be going over the 4 questions. So the first one, I'm going to start with my answer. So I feel like society has changed the physical environment based on leaving a bigger eco footprint. I think this is done by having a more populated areas. Of course, with global warming increasing, I think that it gets worse and worse every year. And that, of course, changes how our physical environment is. Of course, and with that being said, I do think that society itself has kind of adapted to these things as far as like having, backup plans for natural disasters with the rising sea level of water. I also think that they have other ways to get food sources than before to prepare for these natural disasters that may occur with global warming. Um, and then also the next one would be population. I think that this has an effect on society based off of the same reasons of how we all have a common goal. We all work together to pay bills. We all work together to achieve what we want in life. So I think that we all kind of get like a common ground of how we see each other, as well as, of course, going back to the global warming. I think the population has changes in society based on, you know, the global warming going up, government having to take care of more people because, of course, how society sees, the population going up with the government having to take care of us is because there's so many people. Eventually they're going to go on Social Security or people with disabilities. Over time, our population has grown so much that more and more people are needing help. Um, I also feel like this is because less people are dying in general because of how healthcare has changed and how it has gotten better. I think that we probably won't see anything change as far as that. If anything, people are going to start living longer because of where we're at in science. And this just means more and more population is going to keep growing. Innovation would be the next one. I think innovation is a great thing, for societal change. I think that having new ideas, bringing new stuff to the table, I think that really helps how we see things as a whole. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for something new. And I think that as society, I think as we grow, it's important to see how things have changed. Um, a couple of things that kind of come to mind for that, I think that would be like the solar invention, using solar energy for things, especially here in Arizona. We have tons of sun. So I think that has really benefited, how we use energy and, can help the rest of the people. Of course, with electric cars as well, that's been a huge change. Before, even just cars in general were a great innovation, but I think the electric car is moving into something greater, and it could really benefit the whole, decreasing global warming and becoming a whole and not, ruin the world as we know it. Of course, the next one would be diffusion. This would be for like learning new things from other countries. So I think that over time we have definitely adapted to learning new things from other countries, other cultures, and it really has like kind of shown how, especially with America, how we're like a melting pot. We all, want to see new things, and maybe some other place does something better, so we can kind of adapt to see how they do things and go from there. Not everything has to be the same, and I think society has always kind of changed with that, with making sure that everyone feels welcomed and we realize that there are other cultures out there. um, Mass media would be the last one. Of course, this has a huge effect on social change over time. Before, especially with growing up, there was never really like internet or social media, or, of course, we would just watch the news in the morning. That was pretty much it. But now, they have things on news stations that are talking about two different things. Things get posted on the internet, which we never know what's true or not. So I think that has changed society as a whole because everyone has either a different opinion or a bias because no one really knows what's real or fake. I also think that media plays a part in a lot of people feeling like insecure or what they think they should look like over time because the media presents something into what it's really not. Before it was never an issue and now it's completely a problem. The next question, we'll be talking about the information revolution. I feel like this is a huge, important step in social change. Um, I think that it has literally changed everything how we see pretty much today, as far as how we talk to each other, how jobs are set up, how we get information, also how education is done. With the current pandemic, more and more kids are going to school online, which is quite different, especially with the younger kids. Kindergartners are even doing online schooling, which is so different from what we saw before. Um, in the book, the sociology textbook, which I'll be referencing, um, they stated in 1990, only 2% of the US population had a cell phone. And then 20 years later, over 90% have a cell phone. I think that is a huge jump. I mean, in my opinion, I don't even know anybody without a cell phone. So I think that's pretty amazing how we went from almost none to everyone. I think it definitely helps. It helps a lot of ways, keeping in contact with people, especially for emergency purposes. So, and then of course, with the younger kids as well, being making sure they're safe too, with walking home from school or things like that. I think it also, I think the revolution itself could have some bad effects, as far as, like I said before, with getting fake news, not knowing what's real anymore. Um, Also, that, as far as not having maybe like a personal connection with people now, going into a job interview or just seeing someone on the street, I feel like we kind of have a disassociation now, having to talk through a screen or be on the internet. I think that it definitely has changed how we interact with one another. Of course, all the good comes with bad. I think nothing can ever be perfect, but overall, I think the information revolution has really set up, a lot of things for the future. As far as any changes for the future, I think it will definitely change how we see jobs now. I think that we'll see more towards like more online things, more stay at home jobs, purposely because the commute, it cuts out commute, cuts out building time. Especially with the pandemic, I think it totally helps cut down contact. And if jobs can be done at home, I think more companies are going to start leaning towards that. Especially, new speeds, the new phones already came out with 5G. So I think over time, it's only going to get better and better. Um, Question three is, how has modernization changed underdeveloped nations? So I think it's changed in a few ways. I think I would start with, jobs. I think that, more jobs we're seeing, when we call customer service, more and more jobs are being put in other countries, and I think this helps them a lot as far as giving them work. Most of those places don't have a lot of opportunities to get work, or it's like one or the other, and this gives them more opportunities to get better skills, communication skills, help them learn English if that's, not their first language. Also, there's, many other jobs out there like data entry, things like that. So that's a big factor that has really changed over time, and I think is beneficial to them as well. Also, I think that healthcare and medicine, I think that's a huge change that has really benefited them. We can come over there and help, as far as vaccines or any inventions that we may know of, as far as like a mosquito net or that filtering straw that, can filter out unclean water, has really changed. That's a modernization here that can change over there, and it's in the simplest of ways. And it can really benefit them for the long term. Also, just technology in general, us giving them some information as far as we know or how to get certain things has really changed how they can set up their future. Whether they may not have the supplies right now or the tools to function right now, I think that over time it can help them build. Hopefully in the future we'll see a better outcome for, each one of those underdeveloped nations. But I think it will generally take time, just because, our, modernization has taken time and it's still being worked on, even just with the difference of different energy sources. So we can give them that kind of information as well. Question four. So the different types of social movements and when and why they occurred in history. So I went over three. The three that I chose was the revolutionary movement, um, This would be when they want to change like society in every way. I use the example of the civil rights movement. Of course, this happened in 1954 to 1968. This is when, of course, the African Americans felt, a lot of pressure and struggle with being discriminated and the segregation. So they wanted to work towards ending that. Of course, this ended when Martin Luther King was assassinated. So I think that was definitely a huge change in life, especially now what we see today with the Black Lives Matter movement. I think that, over time they're learning from each other and, it's becoming a great outcome, learning new things and everyone becoming equal. The resistant movement is when, this group wants change, but they want it applied to something that's already changed. I found this kind of towards in the 1950s when like white councils or like the KKK came about. These groups came purposely to change how the civil rights movement changed. So they didn't like what had become, and they wanted things to go back to the way they were, which of course never happened. So yeah, they wanted it to be based off of something that was already implied, not something that was completely different. The next one was the expressive movement. These are less concerned with institutional changes, but rather of like people within. I think that this is with like people having personal growth or personal development. I use the example from the book, which is the Pentecostal religion. Apparently, they had a movement which started in 1901 officially. They pretty much emphasize the personal experience with God, with baptism, with the holy water and the Holy Spirit. Of course, these followed through for many years and still is a thing. But they had specific movements of, if you're baptized, if you follow these certain rules, certain steps, you're going to be benefited yourself. It's not like society as a whole. Of course, they've kind of moved away from that. Of course, there's many religions now. So, but I think this was probably the best example that I could find just because of what they really stood for, because it was very personal, not society in general. All right, that is everything. Of course, I just wanted to thank you for watching. If this is the last assignment for the module, so I appreciate everything you've done. And of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out. I will be attaching the reference page in the submission. And of course, have a great day. Bye.